Right, okay, I get it. So now we're done with the dragons, talking animals, the fantasy kind of thing, right? I give up. Hello lovely people of YouTube and welcome back to Mark on Life and Ghibli Time. Thank you to everybody who watched last week's episode, which was only yesterday. For those who haven't watched the episode, I will leave a link in the description and at the end of this video, as always. So this week we are looking at a very popular title in the Ghibli catalogue, Porco Rosso. So Porco Rosso came out on the 18th of July 1992 and it was the #1 film in the Japanese market in 1992, taking 2.8 billion yen. So pretty popular. Now you may have noticed an issue with the title straight away. The English title, Porco Rosso, it's a slightly strange one in the English list of titles because it's not English. Japanese title for this one is Kurenai no Buta, which means crimson pig. And specifically crimson, not red. Red is aka or akai, so it's specifically dark red crimson. But the British title, the Western title, is Porco Rosso, which clearly is not English, it's Italian. And it means, again, very simple, red pig, or pig red. So obviously I can see why they went for the Italian title, because the film is about that area of the world, and it's a bit of a better title than Red Pig. So yeah, makes sense, much more cinematic, dramatic title. So the director of Porco Rosso is Miyazaki, and the music, again, by Hisaishi, again, the dynamic duo. It comes from source material, again, slightly different from normal. It's not a novel or a comic. It's a 3-part watercolor manga by Miyazaki himself called Hikoutei Jidai, which means the age of the flying boat. So interesting that it's coming from source material from Miyazaki himself on this one. Now, it wasn't originally intended to be a full feature film. It was intended to be a 30 to 40 minute in-flight film for Japan Airlines, who are actually still a big investor in the movie. And you can see evidence of this when you look at the beginning. The opening credits have a ton of languages, which is a little nod to what it would have been. And then at the end credits, we see a load of photos, sort of black and white and kind of sepia type photos. And I forgot to mention this a couple of weeks ago. The Ghibli films often have very elaborate credits with either video or photos in them. And it's for a very specific reason. Japanese audiences traditionally are super polite and always sit all the way to the end of a film, all the way through the credits, whereas Western audiences don't. Lights come up, boom, and they go. Apart from Marvel movies now, where we're looking for the end credit sequences, but generally, where there are none, Western audiences leave. But the Japanese audiences stay, so Miyazaki wanted to make things in the credits that keep people entertained. So when we saw a couple of weeks ago Kiki's Delivery Service, you actually have bits of story in there so that people feel that their kind of patience and politeness has been rewarded by actually having things in the credit sequence. There is a possible sequel in the workings, being written by Miyazaki himself. Development state is always up and down, particularly as Studio Ghibli closed its doors and then recently reopened its doors. So where the sequel is actually at, nobody really knows, but it was always planned, so who knows. Great cast for this one for the English dub. We got Michael Keaton in the lead, classic, brilliant actor, and Cary Elwes as well, playing Curtis. But actually Miyazaki himself said that he actually prefers the French track, which has Jean Reno on it. I haven't listened to the French track, but the English dub is pretty good. So what happens in Porco Rosso? Well, we're set just after World War I on the Adriatic Sea on the east coast between the Dalmatian and the Kvarner Islands. And it's all set around our, well, hero is probably the wrong word, our protagonist, Porco Rosso, who is a former World War I fighter pilot ace, but now a bounty hunter, freelance bounty hunter, fighting only for himself. And as you can see straight away, he is not human, he is a pig. We learn later on why this is, but it's made him turn away from humanity. He doesn't fight for honor or the war or effort or the Air Force or anything like that. He fights for himself. So although he's very brave and can effortlessly take on pirates or that kind of stuff, he can always come across as very selfish, brash, and just doing things for himself. We see him spend time in his local bar, which is run by Gina, a friend of his, and we learn her role later on in the film, and she always calls him Marco. This is where we learn that he wasn't always a pig, he was a human once, and it was the result of a curse. His name is Marco Pajo originally, or in the American version, Marco Rossellini. We never exactly learn how the curse works, or why, or, well, I won't tell you some things, but it's very much a story about what it is to be human. And this is where he comes into contact with Curtis, an American, a brash American, who wants to take on the world and becomes the main antagonist for the film. He's jealous that Gina likes Porco more than him. And then we see him shoot Porco down as he's making his way to get repairs on his plane in Milan. But Porco makes it to Milan to get his repairs at a place called Piccolo's, where he meets Piccolo's granddaughter, Theo. And originally, he's very sceptical and misogynistic about the fact that a young woman could do a job like this, be a mechanic or repair his plane. But very quickly she impresses him and not only builds the plane, but accompanies him for the rest of the journey, the rest of the film, and they develop a sort of relationship and a friendship between them. Eventually, Curtis catches up with Porco Rosso and Theo again, and it all comes down to one final challenge between Curtis and Porco. I don't want to go any further than that because that's, I don't want to spoil the end or anything. But really the film is all about, like I said before, what it is to be human. You know what I mean? It's about honour, doing the right thing. There's the honour of the sea pilots and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept. Would I recommend Porco Rosso? Of course, like I said, I recommend them all. It wasn't one of my favourites when I watched it the first time, and even Miyazaki himself said that he wasn't that pleased about making an adult film for kids, so it's slightly pitched a bit oddly. But watching it again now, I really, really enjoyed it. I haven't watched the Japanese dub in a long time, so I want to watch that again. But it is really good. Yeah, I wouldn't put it in my top 5, but I definitely recommend it. Go watch it. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a big thumbs up if you liked this video. Leave me a comment. Have you seen Porco Rosso? What did you think? Did you love it or did you hate it? And subscribe to my channel to see more. Next week we cover one of the weirdest films in the Ghibli catalogue, Pom Poko, so look forward to that. I am on all the normal social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, all of them. I am Mark Joseph Actor. Click over here somewhere to see last week's episode, which was only yesterday, and click over here somewhere to see a little bit more of my face in my movie-based comedy series, Retrospectives. So I will see you all right back here next week for Pom Poko. But from me, Mark on Life in Ghibli Time, I will speak to you soon.